Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of What's for Dinner. It's 5:15 on Wednesday today. Beautiful day out today. It was in the 70s and sunny, so absolutely gorgeous weather. Hopefully some of you all got a chance to get outside and enjoy it a little bit if you weren't working. Anyway, I almost forgot again. Just to do a quick housekeeping, just want to let you guys know that anything that we're talking about here tonight should not be construed as medical advice, right? So this is for educational and entertainment purposes only, informational purposes. If you guys have questions or concerns, you should seek out your healthcare provider and ask them. So there, we got that out of the way. Let's look at what we're having for dinner tonight. So we made a combination of fillets and ribeyes. I grilled these on the barbecue. So the fillets on top, Teresa prefers those. And those are a little bit more on the rare side. And then on the bottom there, we have a few ribeyes, and that's my favorite go-to. I like the ribeyes because I just feel like they've got a good combination of marbling and fat in there. And I like that. So these were these Sam's Club?
Yeah.
Huh? So these were Sam's Club bought. These weren't from the butcher or Harder House. They were from the Sam's Butcher Shop. And then Teresa made her cheese and pepperoni chips again. So do you want to talk about that real quick for people who didn't see last night?
Ultra thin slices of sharp cheddar cheese of, I used the Sargento's brand. Cut them in quarters, laid them on parchment paper on a stone, and then put pepperoni slices on top. And then I cooked them at like 425 for about 5 minutes. I did this time put salt on some, I put garlic on some, and some are plain. So we'll have to see how we like it.
Okay, great. And then we get a little bit of the rouse. It's kind of a lower sugar, pasta sauce, tomato sauce, spaghetti sauce, whatever you want to call that. We can dip the chips in. And then of course we got our Jane's Crazy mixed up seasoning. That's one of our go-tos, my favorite. And then we have Redmond's real salt. And I wanted to talk really quick about that because it kind of reminded me this weekend. We came from Low Carb USA in San Diego, and one of the doctors came, Dr. Dimitri, came from Italy. He hails from Italy and Greece. Kind of goes back and forth. But anyway, he was talking about micronutrients. And they mentioned that these real salt types of products, sea salt and whatnot, have just a load of micronutrients in them, and they'll pretty much fill all those little missing gaps. So make sure you use that salt generously on your food like we do. And then last but not least over here, we have some leftover bacon from last night. And then we have eggs, and these are store-bought eggs that Teresa scrambled. So you put some cheese in there?
Yeah.
Any heavy whipping cream?
No.
Just cheese.
Yeah.
All right, still gonna be good.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I know you got some stuff on your mind you wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Start firing away.
Well, if you were listening last night, the thing we were talking about the conference is I was frustrated that we have to say that before every video, but most all of the physicians and PAs and dietitians that get up, because after every speaker you can ask them questions, like for 45 minutes, and then there's a panel at the end with all of your favorite people, but every single person started off their question with, I'm so-and-so, I'm wound care, I'm endo, I'm infectious disease, I'm internal medicine, I'm GYN. They all started with, I never learned this in school. So how are you supposed to know what to do if the person you're asking didn't ever learn it? It would be like, I don't know, my kid's coming to me to teach them to change the oil in their car. Like, I'm the wrong person. Maybe Mark would know, but I don't know how to do that. So why would you ask them? Why would you ask me? Okay.
Yeah.
Something to say.
Well, yeah, for sure. That's 100%. And one thing we did want to say, we kind of missed it last night when we were talking about this also, was that the cool thing, we started going to those conferences out in San Diego in 2019. And when we started going, it was probably like for every 4 or 5 people, just like regular lay folks or people who were just there because they wanted to learn something about low carb, there might have been maybe one provider of some sort. There just weren't many. But now I would say it's probably, an even Steven split with regards to, there's for every one person that's there, there's also a provider. So things are starting to shift. There's a little bit of a paradigm shift. We're still very early in this. But listen, these providers come in, these experts in their fields, and they talk about different things. The low carb experts are, and they bring the receipts with them. They're bringing a ton of science. There is no other way of eating out there that's even close to being studied and has the studies behind it that low carb, carnivore, and keto have. It's amazing. But what I wanted to get at the crux of all this was, that's a testament to you guys, the patients who are out there going in and advocating for yourselves in these doctor's offices and telling your doctor, I want this, I want that, you work for me, do what I ask you to do or I'm going to go find somebody else. The doctors are starting to figure this out now. It's happening slow and it's very frustrating, and you're still getting gaslighted by a lot, especially like in Springfield, Missouri here. We hear this just nonstop.
Yeah, I'm sure it's everywhere, but yeah.
Probably. But we've got a couple of hospital systems here that people are stuck in, and they really get gaslighted by a lot of these practitioners at the hospitals.
Yeah.
Anyway,
then the other thing I forgot to say last night are that there are doctors, because I was in groups with them talking, that are fearful for their license by doing what we're doing. So by telling people not to eat sugar to help their diabetes, they could get into trouble with the licensing board. And we have one friend who changed he got a second additional license and moved out of California just because he was fearful of the medical boards. The nursing boards, the medical boards, and the pharmacology boards are very punitive. They are looking to pick you off.
Yeah, they're predatory in nature. They're
very predatory.
Yeah.
So, and then Anthony Chafee did a talk about elite athletes and carnivore. Now, Chafee is an extreme carnivore. Like, I said to Mark the other day, do you think Anthony Chafee cheats? Nope. I don't think he does.
Not even coffee.
Right, not even coffee. He's big about all that. So, he did a talk about elite athletes and carnivore. And all of the studies, like some of you guys doing plant-based, no good. They're no good. Okay, and we'll talk about that another time. But lots of studies on carnivore and exercise and building muscles. And he listed a whole bunch of elite athletes that are out in the open. And he said he's talked to many, because he's very popular, that don't want to say they're on it because they could lose endorsements from Gatorade. And they don't want their opponents to know they have an edge. Because if you know carnivore, you know you have an edge. But NFL players, hockey players, football, in Europe, football. Rugby, yeah, our football players, soccer, tons of soccer players.
Ultra marathons, Tour de France people.
France.
These were elite Olympic athletes, high caliber athletes who are absolutely performing at their best on pure carnivore.
And I don't know how old he is now, but when he started carnivore, he was 38. He was it's not like Olympic, but a high level rugby player in his youth. At 38, he went back and started playing professional rugby.
Yeah.
At 38.
Yeah, and the other cool thing about this too is that there used to be like a lot of, there still is, a lot of these athletes, like the ultra marathon runners, especially the endurance people, are of the mindset that you have to have carbohydrates for it, and they usually will reference some old studies. Well, the studies that they showed were studies that compared fat adapted athletes, so athletes that were on a keto or carnivore or low carb diet, versus carb athletes who were using carbs. Yeah. The problem was they only gave in these studies the carnivore athletes, the fat adapted athletes, 1 week to get into fat adaptation. Right. So anyway, there's new studies where they actually used apples to apples comparisons, not these skewed studies that showed that the athletes that are on a carnivore or a low carb diet have every bit of the same advantage, and in some of the studies that actually came out where they were actually performing better. Yeah. So, I'm not telling you if you're an elite athlete and you're using carbs or whatever, and you're able to run 25 miles in 2 minutes. I'm not the person to tell you stop doing that. But I'm just saying, scientifically speaking, you don't need the carbs.
Right, but I talked to a patient yesterday, and she said she started carnivore, feels amazing, skin issues went away. She is 60 something, but her daughter is a bodybuilder, and said it's absolutely ridiculous to go on carnivore. She used the word ridiculous. You have to have carbs to build muscle. And then I just think, not according to these elite athletes. So first of all, that's just gym bro garbage science, but that's just not true. Like, you guys see what Mark looks like. He doesn't eat carbs.
I haven't been on in a while. I have to get on and show off sometime. Yeah, real quick too, I wanted to say, Mary Nicholson Smith just popped in. She said, finally, after a little over a month, low carb keto down 10 pounds.
Yay!
Way to go. And a lot of you guys get frustrated, guys and gals, you get frustrated a little bit. So hang in there, because it's also not just the eating part of it. Like, you've got to change lifestyle. If you've got cortisol on board from stress, or you're not sleeping, you're not going to lose weight. I don't care how little you eat. Like, you're still going to have a problem losing weight. So you've got to clean up the other stuff too. The diet is fantastic, but if you want to turbocharge it, try adding in some exercise, like legitimate resistance training exercises, and then also go for it with regards to getting good sleep, cleaning up all your stresses in your life.
Well, and we think about a stressful event like somebody dying, but stressful event is also rushing to the ball field every night, trying to get there on time and being a little bit late and feeling that energy inside of you. It's your car going flat, and then you got to figure out where to go in between going to the ball field. And that's also hyperactive hypervigilance.
Yes,
that creates cortisol.
That qualifies 100%. All right, what do you got?
So I was on the carnivore. I'm in a group called Carnivore RX on Facebook, and there was a guy in there talking about his 75-year-old father-in-law who got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. He loved his ice cream and fruit and all that stuff, so he went on a low. He took out his sweets, like just sweets, and started injecting insulin and followed his doctor's prescription for food for a year. He said he did lose a little bit of weight, but he never moved the needle on blood sugars. This guy that's making the post and his wife had started carnivore. He's like, we are not experts by any means, but we started to tell my father-in-law. He watched Fat Fiction, a documentary, which you should too, and started ketovore. And within 1 week, his blood sugars were down to normal and he got off the insulin. He just had a follow-up visit with his provider, and he said he was so excited to tell his provider, I'm off medicines. Oh, and also he started feeling great. He started working around the house again. He had energy to do stuff. And the doctor told him, stop keto and restart your medication.
Hey, doctor, how about stop medicine and find something you're good at? Because clearly it's not medicine.
And so I was just talking to Mark before we went on, and I'm like, really though, what could be the reason a human being would say that to another human being that has improved his health? Besides money and stuff. And I just can't imagine.
Yeah, there's a lot of different reasons it could be. It's pure speculation on our part. We could talk about that for another
But
hour.
I do know in certain hospital systems or healthcare systems, if you don't do certain things, like I've had a nurse practitioner tell me who's in the system, if 85% of her diabetics are not automatically given a statin, whether they have high cholesterol or not, you get dinged. You get X's instead of checks.
Yeah.
So
lose your job.
Yeah.
So Mary Smith also popped in and she said 2 to 3 hours of sleep. So yeah, I know it's tough. Sleep is a difficult thing for a lot of people.
Is, yeah.
Hey, listen, there's a fantastic book called Why We Sleep and by Matt Walker, excuse me. And so you can start with that. That book is it's like a science Bible on sleeping, but it's made to everybody can understand it. It's fantastic. It talks a lot about how it affects your diet. But we'll do a post here sometime in the future. I'm sorry, a post. We'll do a video and sometime in the future we'll talk about sleep because I've got some severe sleep issues, and I'll show you kind of like what my cocktail is that I do, and so hang in there.
But if you get a CGM, which supposedly Dexcom now is coming out with one for over the counter, but if you got a CGM and you did your doctor's prescription of treatment and you did low carb, you'll instantly figure out your doctor doesn't know what they're talking about. So, and they shouldn't be giving advice on stuff that they don't know what they're talking about. So we have to keep pushing, and you got to get yourself out of the system. Peaceful non-compliance is the way to go. Stop using them. Stop using them unless you have a heart attack, a bullet wound, I don't know.
Yeah, you need plastic surgery, whatever. That's all good. I mean, we're not saying go rub essential oils on a broken leg or something.
Right.
You gotta
use them for what they were designed for.
But for this chronic illness kind of stuff, like you have to go advocate for yourself, and you've got to start learning this stuff because it's hard to find somebody who can help you.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're at 13 minutes.
I'm so sorry.
But anyway, are you good, hon?
I am.
Is that everything? Okay, well, tell us what you guys are having for dinner. And if you have any questions or anything, shoot them our way. We love you guys, and God bless you all, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.